Do you not only want to know who the best and worst brawlers are in Brawl Stars, but also what game mode every single brawler is good and bad in? Because that is exactly what I'm going to tell you. Let's do it. Alright, let's just give a quick refresher on how these overall ranking videos work. I rank every brawler from 1 to 25, put them in a tier S through F, but I also do a brawler profile for every brawler where I put them in a category for how strong they are in every single game mode, from great to poor. Now, each category has about 5 to 7 brawlers in them for every single game mode. Also, I don't have time to explain why every brawler is in what exact category they're in for every game mode. If I did that, this video would probably be about an hour long. And let's be real, you probably don't want to watch an hour-long video, although that might be kind of interesting. And actually, there's going to be no F-tier brawlers. Come on, you know the spiel. Brawl Star, it's a team game. Every brawler is better in some game modes than others. Also, of course, big shout out to the Coach Cory Pro Squad for helping put together this tier list for Brawl Stars. All right, now starting out at number 25, what I think is the worst brawler in the game, it's gotta be Poco. Poco honestly does not have any game modes that he really shines in. He's honestly just an overall okay brawler at best. And he's also a very team comp reliant brawler. He's not a great brawler to play with randoms. You like playing him with brawlers that have sort of high health where he can really utilize his super most effectively. His super is not quite as used well with really low health brawlers. But honestly, Poco is one of the only brawlers where he really doesn't have a specific mode that he shines in. Most of the other brawlers have some sort of mode. All right, now at number 24, also in the D tier, it's going to be Piper. Now, Piper actually just got a buff recently, but honestly, it didn't help her that much. Now, she is very strong in Bounty and definitely solid in Duo Showdown, but outside of that, she really struggles. She's a very map-specific brawler. Otherwise, outside of those two modes, really needs long range and narrow maps where she can snipe people from a distance. Definitely not a good close range brawler. She has a lot of weaknesses. Of course, that slow reload is definitely one of them. So Piper, not very strong right now. At number 23 and in the D tier, it's going to be Tora. Tora with the second biggest drop in the overall rankings compared to the last video, dropping down 9 spots. Now, Tora is very solid in Brawl Ball and pretty dang good in Gem Grab as well, but outside of that, Tora really struggles. This is also not really the meta for Tora. There's a lot of high health brawlers near the top of this ranking, and Tora just doesn't really like supering very high health brawlers as she's not always able to get that kill quite as reliably with that super. So Tora, a bit not a great meta for her, but also really just kind of a weak brawler outside of those two modes. At number 22 and in the D tier, it's going to be El Primo. El Primo got hit hard by Rosa. Rosa completely counters El Primo. El Primo just keeps on charging Rosa's invincibility shield over and over. So that is a horrible matchup for El Primo. Now, actually, he's pretty solid in Siege, and actually tanks overall a lot of tanks got worse in Siege because of the change to the Ike turret. But El Primo is invincible while he supers through the air, so he's still one of the better divers in Siege. But outside of that, he definitely struggles, and of course, Rosa just completely counters him. Next up, and in the D tier, at number 21, it's going to be Bull. Bull took our biggest drop from the last overall ranking video with going down 10 spots. A lot of this is, again, because of Rosa. Rosa counters Bull really dang hard. Now, Bull is still definitely really strong in Heist, where you probably see Rosa the least, but otherwise, Bull is really struggling. So he's still strong in Heist, but Rosa, man, he does not want to see her. At number 20, and the last brawler in the D tier, it's going to be Shelly. Now, Shelly actually rising up a few spots compared to the last ranking video. She also did get a small buff. Part of this is, while Shelly is not actually a counter to Rosa, she is one of the few brawlers who can sort of deal with Rosa. She's not gonna get destroyed by Rosa, unlike the majority of brawlers. With Shelly's super, she can push back Rosa to run away. And honestly, that's the main thing Shelly can do. She can keep on supering Rosa with her shield over and over and over, but it's still not going to do a ton of damage. Now, she can definitely beat Rosa if her shield is gone, which is one of the things Shelly can kind of do, is super her away with that stun and knockback, and then maybe deal with Rosa once her shield is gone. If you have her star power, it's definitely even easier with that. But outside of that, Shelly is definitely solid in Brawl Ball, but that's basically it. Now we're in the C tier. At number 19, we have Frank. Frank, also one of the few brawlers who can actually do not bad versus Rosa. With that stun, he can actually kind of deal with her and at least make her shield not quite as threatening, because you can either walk away after you stun them, or at least just let it sort of run out while you keep on going. So Frank can keep on stunning Rosa, and it's not a bad matchup. But outside of that, Frank is actually pretty solid in Siege still, and in Brawl Ball as well. Frank has some solid modes, and he's not that bad in the meta, but he also doesn't exactly excel at that much either. Next up at 18 is Mortis. Mortis is definitely not that great in this meta. I mean, of course, he's definitely not very good versus Rosa. Outside of that, though, he is pretty solid in Solo Showdown and in Bounty, but he's also pretty star power reliant. So if you don't have a star power, he'd probably be even lower on this rank. At 17 in the C tier, it's going to be Dynamite. Now, honestly, Dynamite really just kind of gets outclassed by Barley in the majority of situations. The only real scenario where Dynamite is honestly better is whenever it comes down to getting damage and kills, and a lot of times it comes down to solo and duo showdown. Also too, because those are the best modes for his star power, where he can jump over walls to get better mobility across the map and get her better situations. But those are really the main modes where Dynamite has an edge over Barley. Otherwise, you probably want to play Barley. At 16 and in the C tier, it's going to be Penny. Now, Penny is very solid in Bounty and in Siege, where that cannon can put in a ton of work. But honestly, if you think about it, the three newest brawlers that have been introduced have had a really good amount of health, a high amount of health. And that honestly is not that great for Penny. So Penny has been slowly sliding down in the recent rankings. Outside of those two modes, she tends to kind of be just okay. Now at 15 and the last brawler in the C tier, it's going to be Nita. Now Nita is very solid in Gem Grab and in Brawl Ball. Also pretty dang good in Siege. But honestly, Rosa, of course, is not a good matchup for Nita. So Nita actually dropping 8 spots compared to the last overall ranking video. Has some modes where he can, or she can definitely excel, but also has some modes where Nita is definitely not very good, and the meta is also not amazing for Nita with Rosa. Now in the B tier, these brawlers are starting to get a little more solid and consistent, but definitely still have their weaknesses. At number 14, it's going to be Jessie. Jessie dropping 9 spots compared to the last ranking video. Still very solid in Brawl Ball, in Gem Grab, and Heist as a good control brawler, but you're seeing the biggest probably change game mode wise with Jessie is going to be in Siege, where you're seeing a lot of Barley and Spike and other good control brawlers that can just take out Jessie's turret fairly easily without taking that much damage. Otherwise though, Jessie can be a pretty solid control brawler, although she is also reliant on her star power. So if you don't have it, definitely drop her down in the rankings. Now at number 13 and in the B tier, it's going to be Colt. Now Colt is a very consistent brawler. He's good at dealing damage, and that's basically it. He's a damage dealing brawler. He can break down some walls too, of course, but he's also one of those brawlers that's kind of versatile, but he doesn't really excel at that much. You're seeing him being solid in a lot of different modes, but he's not very bad in that many. He's also not very good in that many. I mean, walls can be a problem with Colt, so he's a little map specific in some of these game modes. But if you're looking for a guy who can deal a ton of damage, he can definitely do that. And he's also not very star power reliant, so that's a nice bonus. And at 12, it's gonna be a similar brawler, Rico. I mean, Rico, another damage dealing brawler from long range. Of course, he's different from Colt in that he can bounce around walls, so it's gonna be more difficult to deal with, which is why you're seeing the game modes that they're good in opinion, are a little bit different, with Rico being able to better utilize those maps that have a lot of walls that Colt is not quite as good on. But both of these brawlers just consistent damage dealers, and damage is good in a lot of different game modes, so it's hard to have them be very bad. Now at number 11 and in the B tier, we have our biggest riser compared to the last brawler rankings. It's going to be Crow. Crow jumping up 9 spots. He did get a nice buff, but he's also a pretty consistent brawler. Very good in both solo and duo showdown, and very solid in heist as well. Crow is going to be probably your most annoying brawler in the game. Very, very good at chip damage, and then once you get low to medium health, he can jump on you with that super and do a ton of damage at once. Also, Crow is so fast that he can kind of deal with Rosa. Rosa not a big threat to Crow, so it's definitely another reason why we're seeing Crow this high in the rank. Now at number 10, we have another riser. It's going to be Bo. Bo, people are slowly realizing how good he really is. He has nice damage, really good health, and as the game starts going later and later and you start getting more and more stuff going on, those mines just become a bigger and bigger threat as you forget exactly where they were placed, and there's just more stuff going on throughout the game, and you just keep on tripping them. Bo has very solid abilities that apply to a lot of different game modes. That damage and health can be hard to deal with in a lot of different scenarios, and of course those mines can be used in a lot of different ways, either as control to stop people from going in a certain direction, or as a trap to limit them and keep them from going away from you in different ways. Now the last brawler in the B tier and at number 9 is going to be Spike. Now Spike, Mr. Consistent, not bad at much and good at a lot of different things, but now we're finding he's not quite as great as he used to be, dropping 7 spots compared to the last ranking. And honestly, a big reason for that is Carl. Spike really hates dealing with Carl, and Carl is a very solid brawler right now. Now Spike is still very good in Siege, and he has a lot of other game modes where you can use him well because damage is really good, and Spike is just a versatile brawler, has a lot of different abilities, attacking around walls, can heal himself up, has good damage, but he's not quite as strong as he used to be. And now we're in the A tier. At number 8, it's going to be Barley. Barley, one of the best control brawlers in the game, can be very, very difficult to deal with, wide attack, and can just keep on attacking because of that star power. So it's one of the few brawlers where he doesn't always need to stop attacking to heal up, even making him even better in control scenarios. And of course, he has that really wide super that just pushes people back no matter what game mode you're playing. So Barley, he's not great everywhere, but he's a very solid brawler right now. Now at number 7 and in the A tier, it's going to be Daryl. Daryl did just get a small health buff recently, and I will also say he is very star power reliant, so if you don't have a star power, I'm definitely dropping him down in the rankings. He'd still be a solid brawler, but not nearly quite as good as he is here. Now Daryl, he doesn't really match up well versus Rosa, but he has a roll ability, so he can choose what matchup he wants to go after, which is where Daryl is not quite as reliant on the meta as some other brawlers might be. And of course, because of that role, he can work in a lot of different scenarios and situations. He can just go after the matchups he wants to go after, and he can still be a solid and good brawler. At number 6 and in the A tier, it's going to be Leon. Leon has been getting some nerfs, but honestly, he's still a very solid brawler. We're finding, of course, hard to imagine, invisibility is a really strong ability, and it works in a lot of different ways, and it's very hard to stop. Surprise, surprise. We're also finding, though, Leon got an indirect buff in Siege because he's now the best dive brawler, because what was the best dive brawler, Bull, got a big nerf in Siege because the Ike turret now attacks him while he charges. So he did get a solid indirect buff there, but that invisibility is still such a strong ability that Leon is still a really good brawler. Now at number 5, it's going to be Brock. Brock is the best long-range brawler in the game, and at times can be very difficult to deal with because of that long range. He has very solid damage, and with his super, he can attack over walls, break down walls, and deal area damage. So Brock doesn't have any major weaknesses, maybe it being his health, but of course he's a very long range brawler, so he's trying to stay away from people with that range as often as he can, but he also does really solid damage. So definitely don't underestimate Brock. Now at number 4 and the last brawler in the A tier, it's going to be Jean, now recently with the ability to pull people through walls, has become an incredibly scary brawler to face. And honestly, the only mode where he really struggles is going to be Heist, where his low damage is kind of not a great asset there. But otherwise, in the majority of other modes, Jean is a very solid brawler with an incredibly strong chip damage ability, making it difficult for people to heal up. He can heal up his allies a little bit around him, but really it's that super that makes Jean so strong and scary to face. He can pull you. If you need a kill, Jean can get you that kill, and you can double team that person that he pulls up, and it's an easy kill for Jean, and he's gonna build up his super a little bit again as well. All right, now we're in the S tier. These brawlers do not have many weaknesses. At number 3, it's going to be the former number 1, Pam. Pam did just get a nerf recently, but she's still a really strong brawler, and she's not weak in any game mode really. She still has good damage, really good health, good healing, and those are all very solid abilities, so Pam is good freaking everywhere basically. But man, these top 2 brawlers are insane. At number 2, it's going to be Carl. Carl is a very strong brawler right now. Good in basically everywhere. That really fast attack speed buff that he got recently has made him a really strong brawler and very difficult to deal with. He has incredibly high health, and he has a solid range, and he can hit you for a lot of damage at once, especially depending on the scenario around walls. He can deal with a lot of different situations. He can also use that super to get in close range with you and do a ton of damage, or if he needs to escape, he can do that, or in Brawl, he can use it to push up the map really quickly and have a good opportunity for a goal. Carl is strong in so many different situations, and he's very difficult to deal with and counter well. But of course, the strongest brawler in the game, we all know who it is. It's going to be Rosa, who is amazing in every single game mode, even after she got nerfed. That shield ability is so strong, and Rosa can chain supers just way too easily, and she just has the biggest threat factor in the game right now. You do not want to mess with a Rosa. Now check out other great brawler rankings, like what the best star powers are right over there. But that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.